Yeah, so earlier this week, the NCAA, they passed some dates for a one-time only college football transfer portal situation. So earlier this year, the news dropped that they're talking about it or whatever. But on Tuesday this week, they mentioned that it's going to be the 2025-2026 transfer portal. It's only going to last 15 days. It's going to span from January 2nd to January 16th. The players will have to enter during this time, but they don't necessarily have to commit or anywhere just yet. The obvious questions that come up that we discussed last time, as well as the teams that are still in the playoffs, what are they going to do? So the players on those teams, they still have 5 days to enter the portal, starting the day after the team's final game of the season, right? So it's kind of a staggered approach. I imagine that coaches and GMs at all these teams, they're going to wait and see who leaves teams before they start making final decisions. So that's what I would do anyway. And then there's still rules about, like, if your coach gets fired, when can you enter? If you're, what other? I guess there's other rules, but all these situations are kind of laid out in this new kind of schedule. So. I know, Aaron, you were doing some stats. I think this will cut down on some of the bad effects of the transfer portal. Aaron, I think you pulled up some numbers on what we've kind of seen over the last few years and what it might cut down on.
Sure, sure. So, just kind of looking at a high level view of 2024 and the football transfer portal cycle, roughly 3,300 players entered the portal in 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
Players that actually committed to a new team, 2,281. So that's roughly 69% of players, nice,
Nice.
who actually were able to commit to a team in the off season. What does that say? What is that saying? You have a roughly 28% of players who are still uncommitted or did not find a team by the start of the new season. I think this is what leads to so many players reclassifying these days.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
So many
with
so many
this,
young player. Yeah. So many young players come in. That's why Ryan Williams, 17 years old. That's why he's playing on Alabama, because players are just disappearing. Players are just like Thanos. They're just disappearing out the league.
exactly right. And so, another statistic I pulled up, we call the Power Four Exodus, right? So historically, nearly 60% of the players who enter the portal come from Power Five schools, but only about 50% of those who complete a transfer actually end up at another Power Five school. So ultimately, there's also a downward trend. As high as 60 to 60% of student athletes who successfully transfer are moving to a lower level of competition. So overall,
So
it's
they move from
hurting.
like the power level down to the group of five level or something like that, right?
Sure, sure. So they're going from I don't know, a Georgia to a West Georgia, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just to give you a practical example, it's hurting the sport. I'm glad the window, is concluding, or it takes place at the conclusion of a season. It gives kids a little bit more time to think about the decisions they're going to make. With all the changes college football has these days, I can only imagine the pressure. You know, I mean, they're still kids. These kids have to make on a day to day decision basis.
Yeah. So I think it'll be good. I think it'll bring some stability to the sport.